Well, looks like Doctor Who's coming back. Well, he knew it would, but boy, well, what a hiatus, huh? And so the trailer, or I guess rather teaser for the most part, showing a bunch of footage, and it's just one of these basic things you see for shows where they give you a few flashy scenes from what to expect from the new season that's coming, and that's pretty much what you got here. And it looks like it's just going to be the same, goofy, lackluster bit of shows that you got in the 11th one, and I suppose if that's all it is, then it's not going to do much better. But one would hope that there'd be a few more good efforts in there. Like there was some amount of effort to be Doctor Who in the 11th season or series, and but it really wasn't enough. It was pretty mild in comparison to even some of the very simple episodes of past Doctor Who. That was just looks like masterpieces compared to this, and that's about it. And then others that were just god awful. And so one was, oh, well, they right the ship or something like that or whatever. I don't think so. Now, could it get worse? Yes, it could. Before this came out, there was a little bit of a rumor, and Gary Buechler on Nerdrotics talked about this and said he's heard from somebody and all this. Everybody's got their sources. I don't. So I go by what other people say. And sometimes it's, how do you judge a rumor? And in some aspects of it, you have to, well, would this be possible with, this crowd running this show or this film or what have you? And that goes certainly with the Star Wars rumors and says, well, look what they've done so far. This looks like something they would pull with, So with Doctor Who, the idea is that they would retroactively rewrite the origins of the Doctor rather than just keep it mysterious, which it's been that way since the get-go. That the Doctor was originally a woman, and that there was other regenerations before the Hartnell version of the first Doctor, who everyone refers to as the first Doctor. But then you could just say, well, that's when he or she referred to themselves as the Doctor, because that's obviously not the real name. We will never know the real name, or unless, of course, don't put it past Jim and his crew. Let's just go ahead and give it a name. Let's see, what would be a good name for that? Since the Doctor was originally female, I'm seeing Mary Sue. Yeah, there we go. That would be a good name. I don't know. But the point of it is that it's why would you do that? It's like, well, go for broke, because you're pretty damn woke. So at this point, just go ahead and do that. It's completely unnecessary. And the sad thing about it, a female Doctor could have worked, and there was ideas and directions one could have gone with this story that would have made for some pretty compelling television, and they didn't even try. And it's just kind of, I'm not a big fan of Jodie, but it kind of robs her of that point to shine in that type of storyline and narrative, but it's just not there. And I don't know that she could have done it. I really don't know much about her work. I haven't liked her comments about the show in interviews and stuff, but and obviously, she wasn't a fan of the series or any of that sort of thing, which is perfectly fine. But it would have done her well to follow the example of Matt Smith, who wasn't that big into Doctor Who, and yet, like a professional, he studied down and understood what this was about and acted accordingly. She's all, I've got to do it my way and all this sort of thing, but without understanding what it is you're doing. And so that's a bit problematic there going forward. But even so, even if she had done all that, it wouldn't have mattered. Because as much as I really enjoyed Peter Capaldi, and I think what a massive missed opportunity that was, the stories they gave him were pretty much terrible. I don't know if they were as bad as the one Jodie's getting, but pretty much. It's pretty close there. And so That's why the downward spiral began before Jodie showed up. And of course, you get a spike there because of the curiosity of her, the first woman doctor. Let's see what this is and all that. Now, of course, by the time Stephen Moffat left, everybody hated him. Mad at him for this and that. And now it's like, well, he wasn't this bad. And to his credit, this is just my guessing here, my speculation, is that he did things trying to avoid this kind of nonsense. Obviously, he prepared the show for a female doctor. That was in the works a long time ago, and probably demand from BBC and what have you. It's the era we live in. And so he's setting it up story-wise. So, of course, the master is Missy, so there you go. Look at that. Then, and early on, you had Matt Smith refer to, what was it? The Corsair. And then, of course, Matt Smith's regeneration, which is kind of interesting in the fact that for a brief moment, the Matt Smith doctor believes he's a woman. He's oh no, am I a girl? And yes, oh no. He's not happy about it. Then he feels his Adam's apple and realizes, oh, no, but still not Ginger. And then, of course, like I said, Missy. And then, of course, the scene of the Time Lord General, sorry, forgetting the name, regenerates. Now, that one is actually far more pivotal than even the Master and all that, because the regeneration happens. She gets up. And she says, well, back to normal now, and then makes the misandrous comment, you men, how do you deal with all that ego? Well, you were a man, wouldn't you know? It's really stupid. But he thought, I got to throw this in there for the feminists, I guess. I don't know. So she gets up, but the point of the matter is, she says, I'm back to normal now. The only time I was a man was that incarnation. And so that the core identity of that particular Time Lord, or Time Lady rather, was a woman. And that at one point, sooner or later, after a certain amount of regenerations, she turned into a man. And that gives the idea that, yeah, this can happen, but it seems to be rather rare. And one would probably revert back to what they'd always been. But that DNA is in there, so if you keep changing, sooner or later, a female version of you is liable to arrive. And that actually is more interesting and makes more sense. And the idea of exploring Time Lord regeneration and the science fiction of it could have been a good direction for it. Now, no. But Moffat puts this in here. And then, of course, the final special where Capaldi regenerates into Jodie has the adventure with the First Doctor and clearly states, and then the whole plot is dependent on this, that the First Doctor does not want to regenerate. And Capaldi doesn't want to either for different reasons. But the First Doctor's point is that he's scared. He's never done it before. And he doesn't know what's going to happen and what will he become and all this sort of thing. And he's you lose yourself, these Time Lords, when you do become someone else. Your core memories and all that is still intact, but when it jangles up your brain like that, you're going to be a different person. And so he's scared about this. He can't avoid it. He's dying at this point and that sort of thing. But Moffat puts it in there that William Hartnell was number one. That's it. The Doctor was born. He grew up to look like William Hartnell. And then eventually he got so old, he regenerated. And he became, the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton. And so that was what he establishes there. Of course, Chibnall can come in and I'm just going to ignore all that. And how do you get around that? Oh, well, the Doctor just forgot that he was originally she and eventually regenerated into these men. Over and over and over again, and then finally gets back to normal. So, it's stupid, but do they care? No. And any criticism, including this, will simply be labeled misogynist, and that's all there is. The true misogyny was not giving your female character a chance to have really strong storylines and interesting explorations of the whole ordeal. Yeah, but I guess you didn't think she was up to it, or more than likely you didn't think of it. Look, I don't know. Moffat put a lot of these messages and whatnot and preaching in the shows, and how much of that was him and how much of it was, the checklist that he had to go through as per the orders of the BBC and that political environment that they live in. And, when you see that interview of him saying, look, you can't just, what did he say? You can't just do shows for Remainers. You got to do shows for the Brexit crowd too, or something along those lines. And he's right. You want the show to reach, you want the show to grow, you want it to be out there. But now the polarization is so bad that no, they're evil. you can't even talk to those people. And that sort of thing, the divide between left and right. And it's sad, and it pollutes and degrades the show and diminishes it. It's doing it to movies, it's doing it to a lot of different properties. And that's just too bad. So Moffat had to put up with that, and I'm sure obviously Chibnall has to. How much of this is his deeply withheld beliefs and all that, I'm sure. But how much of it is what he can make happen? Are we really getting a full-on his version of what Doctor Who could have been left to his own devices? Probably not. But still, he still takes some of the blame here. And I just don't know how much, I guess long after he's done and moves on, then we'll probably get some little clues here and there in interviews of how much of it was him and how much of it was just forced upon the show. And that's what I suspect. Anyway, so yeah, the teaser trailer, what have you, was just that. Some people suggested you could see that Sutekh invading the TARDIS. So maybe they'll bring Sutekh back. I think he already did come back in one of the audio adventures at Big Finish. But yeah, maybe they'll do that. Obviously, the Cybermen will be there, so on. Oh, and a mysterious enemy that's after the Doctor. Yeah, that's when it gets serious. And will that be about the Timeless Child, which was dropped and then completely forgotten for the rest of the season, last season? So perhaps that'll be the revelation that the Doctor was originally a woman or a girl, what have you. And so there you go. Maybe that's what that is. Or, as Beekler had said it, that they'll be delivered and insinuated, but not fully stated. Which, I guess that's a roundabout way of saying, well, if you don't want to think it, you don't. But then if you don't, you're a misogynist. But, well, that's you. I don't know. But I guess we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through another season of this version of Doctor Who. But, if I'm really bored, I only did one episode of Batwoman and I was out. But that was mostly because it was just really boring. So, yeah, Doctor Who can't be that bad, huh? Yeah, it could. Oh, well, what are we going to do? Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. And, well, also check out the link description that'll lead you to my BitChute channel, because there are dark clouds circling about YouTube once again. And some of these channels just might not exist anymore. And mine is just a very insignificant small channel. And so, yeah, it could all be over very quickly. So, all my videos are, well, I think all of them, most of them anyway, and probably all of them will be there if I lose this channel. So do check out my BitChute channel. Thanks for watching again. We'll do it again next time.